Hi, Dan here. Hope you're doing really well. Let's take a look at 10 theory tips that are guaranteed to help your playing. The first is to harmonize a scale. There are loads of great things you can do with this, and you can harmonize any scale, but we're going to demo this with a C major scale. So much of music theory can be explained by knowing a scale. Okay, so just the first thing is to learn a scale really well. But harmony, that's the study of triads, chords, arpeggios, and this is how you do it. We'll do it with the 7th arpeggio. So you get the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th notes of that scale. Now you can do that for every single note in the C major scale. Here's what you get if we go across the neck and play the arpeggio each time. So the last one was the same as the first. You get a set of 7 different arpeggios, which you can then create chords and you can create chord progressions. The second tip follows on from that, and that's think in formulas. So often that set of chords will be notated using Roman numerals. So musicians will often say the 1 chord, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but instead of the actual numerals, we'll use Roman numerals, okay? And that's important because if you're in a gig, a musician might say, right, this just goes round and round a 2, 5. So in the key of C major, the 2 is the D minor and the G is the G7. Whether you use a 7th or you just use standard minor or major will depend on the style. So actually let's just do 7ths for this. So D minor 7 to G7. You know, that might be your choice of notes. So the chord . Just create a really simple bass line based around the chord tones of the 2 chord and then the 5 chord. A lot of music is written using chord progressions, so you'd get a really simple one, a really simple pop progression, like for example 1 5 6 4, which would be this. So 1 5 6 4 progression. In the key of C, you'd have C to G to A minor to F. You could play something really simple. How about just root notes? Now to play something a bit more interesting, we'll wait till we get further down the tip list. Next one, know that every single major key has a relative minor, so we'll stay in the key of C. The notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C again. So 7 different notes. There's no sharps, no flats. A couple of ways of doing this on the bass. If you get to the 6th note, so you go 1, count up till you hit 6. That note there, if you start the scale on that note, you get the relative minor. So that's the note A. So A, natural minor, C major are related. What that means is that they have exactly the same notes. Little trick on the bass, instead of having to go 6 notes up, just go 3 frets down and you'll find that relative minor. So we're on the 3rd fret of the A string, that's C. Just go 3 frets down, you'll go B on the 2nd fret, B flat on the 1st fret, and then open string, that's going down 3 frets, and you've got A. The notes of A natural minor are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Notice no sharps, no flats, it's exactly the same. Now the reason you want to know this is because those scales work together. So you could be doing a song . I went from a very bright sounding major key into the relative minor. Lots of songs do that. Let me just make up a simple riff. Some sort of a rock riff, and that's using that A natural minor scale. Following on from this tip, we'll keep this in this one tip, just sort of 2 for 1, is that you have your major scale, you have your relative minor, and each of those two scales has a pentatonic. Now this scale, I just can't overemphasize how much this is used in bass playing. All it is if you take away 2 of your 7 notes in each of those scales, you're left with 5 notes. Pentatonic, pent means 5, and you have a pentatonic scale. So in the C major scale, here's your C major scale. If you take away the 4th and the 7th notes, you're left with just C, D, E, G, and A. That's 5 notes, and you've got the C, the octave. If you go to your minor, this time you take away the 2nd and 6th notes. So look, you've got your C major scale, which is related to A minor, and each one has a pentatonic. And I've just mentioned 4 scales, and yet they're all exactly the same notes. That's the mode built on the 2nd note of the C major scale, and that's a Dorian mode. Okay, so I want to show you, you have 7 modes, including the major scale and the natural minor. The major scale is called the Ionian, natural minor is called the Aeolian. Those are 2 very, very important scales. As I've demonstrated, it's used a lot in pop rock. But I want to show you 2 more modes. If you're into learning the modes and you don't know anything about them, just learn these 2 for now. So you've got that Dorian one. It's really, really good for funk, so learn the Dorian mode. The Mixolydian mode is formed in exactly the same way, but instead of the 2nd note, you form it on the 5th note. So the 5th note, the C major scale, I use my fingers sometimes. Look, C, D, E, F, G. It's G, okay? So if you go from G to G, no sharps, no flats, you get G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Old school soul, R&B, blues. So I've spoken a bit about notes and scales, and that of course is very, very important, but do not forget your rhythm. As a bass player, your role is often to provide a really solid groove. And so if you can have a bunch of notes, then you can apply some rhythm to them, interesting rhythms, then you start to get into the sounding a bit more pro. You know, you can make up really great phrases. So here's the really simple tip, is just to know that music is organized into bars or measures. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And just to very, very simply be able to subdivide the beat. This is what this means. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. These are quarter notes, and 4 in 1 bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 bar. So you can split into smaller increments and you get different rhythms. And this is this tip. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's one way of counting 8th notes. And then you get 16ths. One way of counting that is to go 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So with the 8th notes, we had 2 of them in every beat. And with the 16ths, we have 4 in every beat. Now, you would do really well just to get that down. Okay, so just going 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, or 3, and then da 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 da, 16th notes. Whether you go digga 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 or 1E and a 2, it doesn't matter. You've got 4 in every beat. Always be tapping your foot. Those are the beats, they're non-negotiable. That's where they are. And you really feel this, and then you know that within each of those beats, those are your 8ths, and those are your 16ths, okay? Part of being a great bass player is having a very, very well-developed sense of rhythm. And this is the first way to get it. Of course, you can use a metronome or a drum beat to try and strengthen this, but without any of those things, make sure you've internalized subdividing a beat really, really well. Once you're really happy with that, get a scale, start to apply rhythms to the scale. So let's get just take one note, make a really cool groove out of that. So I've got this going. You'll find that different styles of music will use different rhythms. So let's take a really simple pop rock U2 Coldplay type vibe. And let's return to tip 2. I'm going to do a 1, 5, 6, 4. So remember that's C, G, A minor, F. I'm going to do 1 bar each. I'm going to go 8th note. So I've got at the end there I did a fill, and do you remember in the key I was talking about the pentatonic? I was just filling using the pentatonic. Okay, rhythms are organized into time signatures. The top number tells you how many beats you have in a bar. The bottom number tells you what type of beat. So the 4 underneath is quarter notes, that. An 8 underneath is 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and a 16 underneath, which you wouldn't see too often. Those are that. So 4, 4. The top number tells you how many beats. So it's 4 quarter note beats in a bar. That's probably the most common rhythm you'll get. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's another one? 6, 8. So the top number, how many beats in a bar? That's 6. And the 8 tells you it's 8th notes. So these are 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Twelve eights, another great one. So we've got 12 eighth notes in a bar. Now the 6, 8 had a sort of 2 feel. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1. So 12, 8 is a bit like 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Forgot how to count there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 10. If you speed that up a bit, 1, 2, got a very different vibe to it than the 4/4. So time signatures allow you to think in rhythms, and plus lots of songs will be in 4/4, but you'll get different time signatures. If you're into progressive rock, bands like Dream Theater, then you're going to need some strange time signatures. Maybe your 16s are going to come out there. Definitely stuff in 7, the top number, 7 beats in a bar, 5 beats in a bar. So it's no big deal if you understand your quarters, your 16th, your 8th notes, and how time signatures work. At the beginning of the video, I said that just by knowing a scale, lots of theory concepts can be explained really well. If I didn't say that, I'm saying it now. So you've got a C major scale. And an interval is just the distance from one note to another, okay? So if we number the notes 1 to 7, the distance of 5 notes is called a fifth. All you do is you play the first note, count that as 1, and from that you count, in this case, 5. It's a distance of a fifth. It's called a perfect fifth. It's still a fifth if you put the fifth down an octave. An octave means 8, it's the 8th note. My Sharona, that's an octave. So you definitely need to know your intervals, and you can also place intervals within chords, and we'll get to that in a minute. On the first harmonizer scale, we made an arpeggio. We got the first note, the third note, the 5th note, and then the 7th note. If you actually just take the first, the third, and the 5th, tri means 3, just 3 notes, that's a triad. Let's combine that with that formula that we learnt in tip 2. So that's chord progression. So I'm going to go 1 to the 4. Now in this key, the 1 and the 4 are both major, so I can use exactly the same shape. We can move that shape to the F, 3rd fret D string. That's a major triad. A minor triad, which is the ones you find on the minor chords, so the 2, the 3 and the 6. You can probably start to hear some bass lines that you know that sound a little bit like that. This is how you're going to work on your ear, is just recognizing the common components of bass playing, and triads are really, really important. Play notes of a triad together at the same time, or 3 or more notes from a scale together at the same time, you get chords. So they can sound very muddy, and I'm using a P bass here, and they can sound a bit muddier than, let's say, like a Fodera or something like that. So I might have to shift the position of these somewhere, but there's a C major 7th arpeggio. We did that earlier. So if I just place maybe the first note, the third note, and the 7th note, and I'm going to go up the octave here. There's my scale. Put the first note, the third note, the 7th together. You got a chord. I'm going to go down to the A. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the first, third, and 7th notes there. So put your second finger on the 12th fret of the A string. Stretch your first finger out to the 10th of the D string and third on the 12th fret of the G string. This is a minor 7th. You get different voicings. I could just do the 1st and the 5th and the octave. That's a power chord. It sounds a lot more rock. That one there, I'm starting a D on the 10th fret of the E string, and I can start to use interval language. That's the root note. I've got a 5th on the 12th fret of the A string. And if I bar my first finger and just play the 10th fret of the G string with the underside, it's a minor third up the octave, a minor 10th it's called. I'm just using classical fingerstyle technique there. I'm using a thumb, index and middle. You can start to get chords, and if we know our formula that we learnt in tip 2, we can move these around in chord progressions. So that would be within a key. You could also just get a chord and move it around completely randomly. Congratulations for making it this far. This is tip 10. Now, as I said before, you probably will want to click on the link and just dig a little bit deeper into each of these. But this is a really important one. This is the circle of fifths and fourths. And again, this will definitely deserve a bit of a deeper dive. But if you want to learn what notes all the major keys and therefore their relative minors have, this is a really powerful way of learning that. There are many other things you can do with this as well, including if you're reading music and you see a bunch of sharps in the key signature, you don't know what that means. Well, the circle of fifths and fourths can very quickly tell you what key you're in. Okay, so you have a bunch of keys that contain sharps and a bunch of keys that contain flats. For sharps, you start on C and you go clockwise around the circle. C, remember, C major had no sharps and no flats, just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So you start there. And if we go clockwise, 5 is your magic number. So going up 5 from C is C, D, E, F, G. So G major has one sharp, and you remember the mnemonic. Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. So G major adds one sharp, okay? 5 up from the G major, you get D major. And it adds a sharp onto that, 5 away, Father Christmas, so F and C. So D major has the key signature of F sharp and C sharp. Let's test that. I'll play it first. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. It's just the alphabet from D to D again using this key signature. And the circle of fifths is a really powerful way of learning any key. There's a little trick here as well. If you want to find any key, you just go to the letter 1 below it. Sounds confusing, but E major. Father Christmas gave Dad. Stop, because D is one letter in the musical alphabet below E. So E major has 4 sharps in it. Okay. I'll do a quick example of the circle of fourths. That's when we go anti-clockwise and we've got flats now. So C major, we start off with nothing. And then the mnemonic now is blanket explodes and Dad gets cold feet. Bit of a strange one, but remember that and you'll get it. So you just have to know that F major has B flat in it. But if you want sort of B flat major, for example, you go blanket explodes. Stop when the key that you want is the second to last one. That also sounds confusing. I'll give you another example. D flat major. Blanket explodes and Dad gets. There's D flat as the second. So D flat major's got 5 flats in it. So if you're reading music and you see 5 flats, you look at the second to last one and you know it's D flat major. Bang. A lot of the notes when you're reading are going to be around this. You might have accidentals, but you can correct those. So it's really good for reading. It's really good for getting your head around the fact that there are 12 keys in music, 12 major keys, each one with a relative minor, and the circle of fifths and fourths really clears up your thinking around that. So that's 10 tips. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something for that. If you've got any questions that spring from that, either click the link to go deeper into one of the lessons or just ask a question here and I'll get back to you. But I do loads of lessons on theory and kind of how to use it, but also technique and groove, because it's not all about theory or learning the notes. It's actually a bit of a combination of many of these little skills that come together to make you a good bass player. Don't forget, always try and work out your favorite bass lines. Try and apply some of these theory ideas to what you're hearing. And I guarantee you, you'll hear and see and come across these ideas all the time. I'll do lots more videos a bit like this, so make sure you subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.